What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the OBR Mock Draft Duel. I'm Jacob Roach. That's Sam Penix over there. Let's point in the right direction next time. All right, that's it. There we That's what I should really realistically do is just point both ways. Hey guys, if you're tuning in, please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up. Helps us out a ton. Sam, how are you doing this fine Monday?
I'm doing pretty well. You can see my gravity is a little bit slanted. It's because I watched Inception again last night, so it's After Effects. So
Yeah, which is like understandable. So it's like,
yeah,
just want to check in,
yeah.
and
So
we know now that we know what's going on. That's all. That's what's going on, guys. Got some love. Just wanted to say hi to everybody. Fumble, you have a little hassle.
yeah, it happens.
Like when I was in high school, I would like cut my hair twice a year. So like it would get like bushy, like big and bushy, and like I mean just excessive. But there was only I only had two styles: big, bushy, excessive, and then buzz the whole thing off.
Hmm.
So
Hey, well, while you have it, do whatever you want with it. That's that's what I'm learning.
I'm losing it. Like I'm losing it. I see it every
Yeah,
day, and I'm like, this is why we become more and more hat people. At least that's why I have
that's
become more of a hat person.
why you have the
Uh,
OBR hat or the OBR shop and grab one of those.
yeah, they're pretty sweet, pretty comfortable. All right, we've got a special episode for you guys tonight. We're going to spend 20, 30 minutes or so here at the front of this episode and talk a little bit about the scouting combine, do a little bit of a preview about some of the things we're going to be watching for at the combine this year. We're going to do the same thing next week where we'll kind of recap the combine a little bit. We're still going to do a mock draft. We're just going to do a mock draft together, just one of them in the back end of uh, this episode, so that we still keep true to the title. But we just wanted to, as a very draft centric show, make sure we hit that sort of thing.
Tonight
So
is mock draft truce.
yeah, it's because it's not. I thought you said truth at first, and I was like, yeah. And he's like, no, he said
If I
truth.
mean, if you want to go that route too, I guess, but that's that's pretty that's a self-inflicted comment there. Stand on, plant that flag.
So I'll start with you, man. Like just because I think I always love to ask this question, but what do you gain from the combine? Like how much of your scouting and your profile, and when you're like, I dropped my first top 50 board ever. Actually, I dropped a top 50 big board today on the OBR.com. You can go check that out if you want. But how much does the scouting combine for you? Like, what does it do? What doesn't it do? Like how, that kind of stuff.
I typically try to not get too caught up in the hullabaloo around the combine because some players will put up these impressive athletic showings and then a lot of people boost their stock up like 20, 30 spots. And it's like, well, nothing really changed as far as like who he is as a player, like he was just as athletic yesterday as he was today. You just have confirmation, and I think confirmation is kind of the way that I look at it, where I'll look for guys to meet certain athletic thresholds, make sure arm length is good enough. The agility testing is really important for various positions. And if some players don't meet those, then I can go back and look at the film and see, okay, is this something that I also see that matches up on tape? Or is this something that could be a fluke? Like, I mean, remember when Jerry Jeudy was coming out of Alabama? Like, that guy was, I mean, cut on a dime, like one of the most elusive and agile players in college football. And then he went out with like a historically bad
Yeah.
agility testing at the combine. I was like, that does not line up with who he is as a player. So there's things like that. And then really, I just want to look for like beyond the confirmation and thresholds. How do these guys take it seriously. Like, are they
Mhm.
going to blow it off? Are they going to kind of just like treat it as like, it doesn't really matter? Preparation, I think, is an important part. Uh, and then there's lots of players, I think, more and more commonly now who are just not going to participate athletically at the combine for various reasons. Some of them are injured, so they don't have a choice, and then other people just decide to do things only at their pro day, and they'll still interview at the combine, which I think is arguably more important
Yeah.
for team-based scouting departments. Us on the outside looking in, we don't have access to all that information, all those meetings and everything. We can just go by the tape and the testing. But for teams who have been doing this for months and in many cases years, the combine, I don't know as far as who they are as players adds a whole lot, but it really gives them a chance to get one-on-one and ask them some interesting questions. Like, you always see the video clips coming out afterwards of like teams asking quarterbacks like these whiteboard questions, and they'll just like scribble, an entire playbook on the whiteboard in 5 minutes, stuff like that, which I think is pretty important. But obviously, we don't get that stuff, so we just try to do the best we can with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I'll get to there's some comments that really kind of highlighted what you were talking about. I'll get them up here on a screen. But I really wanted to echo something you said. For me, especially for the big name prospects, I want confirmation that what I saw on film or what I perceived to have seen on film, like I'm like, man, this guy looks like a really good athlete. Like maybe his straight line speed isn't going to be amazing, but his explosiveness, so his 10-yard split is going to be awesome. Like
Right.
one guy I expect to not have a crazy 40, but a really good 10-yard split is Omarion Hampton, the running back from North Carolina. I think he lacks elite top speed, but I think he shoots out of a cannon real quick, and so I that's what I see on tape. So now I'm looking at the scouting combine to kind of confirm some of that stuff by giving me an actual number that I can digest. That's
Yep.
kind of like what I'm at. It's like, okay, his 10-yard split was the in the 98th percentile of running backs. You're like, yep, that's what I thought it was. And sometimes you get those guys go out there and they blow you away with the athletic testing. And like you said, you talked about going back to the tape. There are times when somebody, maybe I've only watched 2 or 3 of their games or something like that. Like I just haven't got a very deep profile of somebody. They go out there and they test out of their absolute mind. And I'm like, I need to go watch more of this guy's tape. And sometimes you go, maybe he just performed well that day. The tape doesn't back it up, that kind of thing. Um, you got to just remember that it is just a small piece of the puzzle, but I do think it's a piece of the puzzle that matters. I do think that it's relevant, and that's why it happens. So I wanted to give you that chance, and I wanted to say those things, just because I wanted to say that before we get too far into here. Do you guys think Sanders? No, no. I 215. I was told that they had from a scout a verified spring weight on Shadur Sanders of 198.
Hmm.
And I think he played around that weight. I don't know if you had anything different, but 200 is probably the best I would guess for him, at least as playing weight.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, 215 listed. Like, how serious can you take college
Mm-mm.
athletic site listings? Isn't Cam Ward listed around like 223 or something like that? Like, just looking at those two guys, there's more than an 8-pound difference
That's
between
what
the
I
two.
was going to say. Do you think
If we
that's 8
go,
pounds?
if we go strictly by the listed weights, so
You think that's 8 pounds? It's like, if you think that's 8 pounds, I've got some oceanfront property I need to sell you in
yeah,
Arizona. Um, and yeah, no, Jeffrey Ed is a great guy. John Ross did nothing after he was drafted so high, had great testing. Chat underscore username says Schwartz. Great, great, great
thing is
example.
though, John Ross, I think, ended up being miscast as a player after that combine performance because I remember watching him just flipping through channels on TV, watching him at Washington. I was like, wow, this guy's like pretty good. He's probably playing the slot, like just like a normal wide receiver role, undersized guy. But he wasn't this like take the top off a defense or take a slant and take it to the house immediately guy. And then, maybe like a late second, early third round kind of player at best, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And then he runs the fastest 40 time ever at that point, and then ends up a top 10 pick. I was like, whoa, where did that come from? And I think that's the danger of trying not to get too carried away by some truly, extremely impressive, like that's amazing. That's awesome. Like fantastic. But does that change who you are as a player fundamentally? And I don't think it does. Like, there's a difference between moving a guy up 5-6 spots on your draft board and then taking someone who's probably a day 2 guy and then taking him in the top 10. And there have been plenty of examples throughout history, even the past 20 years, of that happening at the combine. It seems like it continues to happen, even though it almost never works out.
Yeah.
Remember Darius Hayward-Bay with the Raiders? Like that's same thing.
Yep, that's textbook. That's textbook. Exactly what we're talking about. Like that. It's textbook. Hey, why in the world do we have the same dude on the left and the right screen at the same time?
So actually, Jacob is me from like 6 hours ago, and then I just shaved and everything. So this is actually totally out of sync, but it just happens that way because we're so on the same page,
I have 6 hours of lag.
Yeah.
6 hours of lag is what's going on.
Your ping is struggling. So
yeah, it's really, really tough. There's a comment here. MC got it. One of my favorite things, getting the real measurements. That is the biggest part for me. I agree with MC on this comment. I think I even wrote that in my mock draft for the website today. I was like, I want to know how big you actually are. What are your hand sizes? What is your actual arm length? Some of that stuff can be a little overblown, but I still want to know what it is. Like, I still
more information is never a bad thing.
Right. Give me as much information. And of course, like you said, you talked about the interviews and things of that nature, and where the teams are going to get even more information than what you and I are going to get. But one thing that I don't know if I was listening to Todd McShay say this or if it was Trevor Sikkema, but I was listening to a podcast and I've heard this person say it. I've heard this said many, many times. One thing that you don't want to do when you watch the combine and you evaluate these prospects is count something twice. And what I mean by that is if you go watch tape, and I'm trying to think of a guy that's Travis Hunter. And the only reason I say this is because I think he's really fast. Like, I think that dude's straight line speed's really fast, right? If you say you get done with your film grade on Travis Hunter or Darius Hayward-Bay or, John Ross or one of these guys, and you have the way I do my stuff, and if you see I have a player profile tomorrow on Omari and Hampton coming out, but you'll see my profiles. I'll give you some background information and stuff. I'll say weaknesses. I'll go strengths. I'll give you like 3 or 4 bullet points. I'll give you 2 or 3 or 4 weaknesses. Then I'll write it there. But I like to just very define it, like speed, explosiveness, contact balance. If you get done with your evaluation of a player and you say he's fast, he's really, really fast, and then he goes to the combine and he's really, really fast, and you then move him up again, you already knew that. So that's the danger. That's the thing we're trying to avoid, is being like, okay, I am putting this player at 30th on my big board because of speed. And then he runs really fast and he goes, because of speed, I'm actually going to make him 21st on my big board. That's kind of what I'm talking about. That's one thing that I'm talking about here is don't do that. Use those measurements to go, oh, I was right about his speed. That's my thing. It's like, yep, I was right. Darius Hayward-Bay is quick. Yep, I was right. Travis Hunter can fly.
Good job.
Good job, Jacob. It wasn't that hard, but good job. that guy's running quick. He's getting down the field quicker than the other guys. I bet you he's fast. It's like, and some of these drills like are kind of silly too that they make all of them run it. Like, I don't need an offensive lineman running a 40-yard dash. Like, I want to see a shuttle in his 3-cone to see how he moves laterally, if he can climb, if he can pull. I don't need if I don't need you running 40 yards like down the field if you're a running back or running back. I think the running back one can be overstated too, just because I think the 10-yard split's a little bit more. Let me get through some of these comments, Sam, and then I'll get a couple of. I want to real quick before we launch into our mock. I want to talk just briefly about some players that can help themselves this week and what it is we're looking for.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, Bill, you just win, baby. Al Davis, when asked why he drafted Hayward Bay in the top 10,
Classic.
I remember. And my good friend Bill does have his boots on the ground. He is keeping me informed of what he hears. And I will pass that information along to everybody.
And then we've got like Fred, Brad, and Noah are all at the combine, right? So
yep,
got plenty of insiders there. If
there's information to be learned from these combine about your Cleveland Browns, the OBR is going to have it. So make sure you follow the written stuff over at theobr.com and here on our YouTube channel. Okay. How about those guys who measure poorly but have sick tape? Jacob knows who I'm talking about with his little baby arms, but yeah, he's talking about Wyatt. He's talking about Wyatt Milam. He's a WFF's big Wyatt Milam guy. That's the thing. I have the combine as like maybe 10% of my grade, my evaluation, maybe it goes into it. So like it matters, but like if you just said it, Jerry Jeudy had a terrible combine. It didn't make him any less of a good athlete. Like Casey says, I wish colleges would undersell their player measurements. Then when the prospect shows up half an inch taller or 5 pounds heavier, yeah, because it's never that.
It'd be like Christmas every pro day or every combine. It's like,
oh my God, he's 215.
He's actually 6'2". Like,
he's 6'2". He's not 5'10". Yeah, because sometimes it's moderate. Sometimes you get it like a measurement. It'll be like they'll say he's 6'2" and he's like 6'1" and 3/4, and you're like, okay, whatever.
It's not like, all right, Ohio State rolling out their 5-star left tackle. He stands 5'10", 184 pounds.
You're like, how is he playing tackle?
Oh wait, he's actually 6'5", 3. Oh, okay.
Okay.
He put on a lot of water weight.
If my O-line is running a 40-yard dash, then my quarterback has some explaining to do.
Yeah. Or he's getting out there to block.
Oh, he could. He really getting at it. You got a question about the quarterbacks there, Jeffrey. We'll get to you in just a second. Okay. So we'll talk about the quarterbacks in a second. But is there anybody that you are looking forward to that could raise their stock? Just give me a couple of names or something, kind of guys that you're really going to watch closely this week.
Well,
it can be quarterbacks. Like that's fine.
There's a lot of guys. Is Curtis Rourke participating, or is he still recovering?
Let me check.
Because I don't even know if I've heard anything about like surgery.
I don't either.
Because you would think like, all right, now's the time to get that taken care of, you know.
I don't see anything about it. I see that he was invited to the combine, but I don't see anything.
My thinking here is he's going to do fine in the passing drills, right?
Yeah.
But it's going to be the athletic drills that are going to, I think, have the potential to improve his stock. If he can show that, yeah, actually that torn ACL that I played with all of last season, it actually hampered me a decent amount, and I'm actually not a bad athlete. Who else? I mean, the running back class, I think as a whole, like some of these guys are going to have to try and distance themselves from the pack, athletically speaking, just because there's so
So
many good players.
I've got an article from Hoosier State of Mind that says it's unclear what Rourke will be doing, but he is likely to throw.
Okay, that makes sense. I feel like he could throw and not run, just not yet. So yeah, that's probably a good idea on his part. I think Alec Iamaner
Yes.
could raise some eyebrows. Really good tape. If he can just be like adequate as an athlete, adequate speed, adequate agility, which I think he will be just based on his tape. But then you've got the makings of a all around guy.
Yeah.
And I think similar goes for Emeka Ibuka, just because he's not the most athletic guy. He's not in that same mold of a lot of these recent Ohio State receivers. But
Yeah.
again, you don't have to be an all-world athlete. You just have to be good enough. And like we were talking about earlier, confirmation. Like a lot of these prospects, the tape is really good. You most likely they're going to be good NFL players. Just hit those minimum thresholds. Okay, cool. We're good here. That's all they got to do. So those are a couple guys that stand out to me. I've got the whole list here. I'm looking through. There's a lot of them. So
Yeah. Well, you talked about Elikai Manor. Another guy that I think is really interesting because I've seen him. I just think he's been all over the place lately in terms of like where they're projecting him to go, and and that's Luther Burden from Missouri. I'm like, he had a really down year. It was not a good offense there in Missouri. Brady Cook had a rough year, and he was not healthy most of that year either. Like there was a lot of like injured quarterback play, people getting subbed in and out, and just all kinds of things that were going on there. And I think when you look at Luther Burden, I mean, he was open, but he just didn't get the opportunities. And I think he's one of those guys that goes out there and gives you that kind of confirmation, kind of confirms that confirmation that we're looking for by going out there and going, hey, check this out. I am this guy. I can do these things. Like my short area quickness and explosiveness and the ability to create in the slot and run these drills and agilities and change direction and overall athletic ability, it is still there. It's on his tape from this year. And if you go watch his 2023 tape, you'll really see it. But sometimes, and I understand this, not everybody watches an obsessive amount of tape like I do and like you do. And they don't necessarily see it. They see I don't think he cracked 700 yards this year. I believe he was like 50.
I think that's right. Which is like, and this guy's getting talked about as a top 20 pick.
Right.
Okay. But I think he's in a rare category where, we talk about confirmation, but the lack of production, I don't think is his fault. It's not due to a lack of talent, because we've seen that production before. And if he goes out there and, shows like, hey, I'm actually really agile. I have good burst. If he can meet these thresholds and turn some heads, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, actually, like he is still that guy, and we can feel good about taking him, in the first round.
I have him when I dropped my big board today, I have Luther Burden as 13. I have him 13th overall on my board. And I think he can be that guy that, like you said, you go out there and you test and you go, hey, check this out. This is what I can do.
Yep.
Like,
it would not surprise me at all to see him move up like 10 spots at least consensus after a good combine, because in all likelihood, that's probably where he belongs.
Yeah, remind you
So
of who I am. We get a question about somebody saying, I'm not excited at all about Tet McMillan. I don't get it, all that stuff. I'm going to drop Captain Joking. I'm going to drop this a link here in the comments. Um, Real quick, this is the player profile I wrote last week on the OBR for Tetaroa McMillan, who is actually 4th on my big board. I have number 4. I think he's a silky smooth athlete that just glides across the field and just bodies people and does some crazy things. So if you want to check that out, you can check it over at theobr.com. If you want to click that link, and I have some examples of film in there and some stuff like that. If you just want to see why I think he's a really good football
also
player.
want to say, like, if Drake London is the result, sign me up. Like I know London hasn't necessarily had the production due to various reasons, specifically quarterback. But he's a player, man.
I think so.
And I think if Michael Penix can continue his strong play from last season, I think London could explode.
One other guy, I've said it multiple times on this show with you. I think Josh Connerly might be the best athlete at tackle. I really want to see how he looks this week. That's one of those things where it's like, I think you're a really, really stinking good athlete. Let me just see you in that kind
I
of.
actually don't want to see him because then the Browns aren't going to have any shot at
Yeah.
getting him later. So it's like, goodbye.
It's like, oh no, he changed his mind. I actually traded up for him in the mock that was published this morning. I traded up to like 25 or something because like I think like there's like 4 or 5 teams at like 26, 27, 29, 31 that all need tackles. And I'm like, if you're still
It's
sitting
not
there,
happening.
it's
Not
like, I
happening.
think I'm going to have to give up a few picks to go up and get this guy and that sort of thing. So yeah, like just keep that in mind while you're watching it. This is stuff that makes you go review the tape, and it gives you the opportunity to see some of these guys in some isolated incidents to kind of see what kind of ceilings they have. It doesn't show you who they are, but it does give you some glimpses, but you just take it with a grain of salt and understanding that if the tape doesn't match the testing, then the answer is not with the testing. It's probably somewhere in between. But it does also mean that there is potential there. If they go out and test really, really well, you're like, well, how do I get that onto the tape? So, any other combine comments before we do this mock?
I want to see Harold Fannin. I
Yes.
took him in the mock that'll be going up tomorrow, and I know one of the biggest knocks on him is he's more of like a linear athlete, right? It's like straight line speed, kind of stiff as a route runner. And I'll be honest, there are some routes that he runs where it just doesn't work. Like he tries to sink his hips and get into it, and it's just so stiff. I also see him running with the ball after the catch, and he just like stop, like he's full on sprinting, like does a little like shake, stops, and then immediately accelerates again. I was like, wait a minute, how did you do that? But you can't do this over here. So I'm wondering if that's more technique, and if he can put up some good numbers agility testing wise. I think that's again confirmation, not just on what you see on tape, but it's like, okay, I'm seeing 2 conflicting things on tape.
Yeah.
But there's the chance that one of these kind of trumps the other due to technique issues. And that's kind of the projection you have to make. And I think that's one of the areas where athletic testing at the combine can be really helpful.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just nice. It's a nice tool. It's just not everything. A good point for Bill talking about Nick Scorton. Nick Scorton has a big week because a lot of people talking about Nick Scorton's weight, thinking he put on some bad weight, and which he did put on some bad weight, and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. And yeah, people are talking about Shedeur not throwing. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I did want to see him throw, but that's because we're in the quarterback market. So whenever you're in a quarterback market, I am disappointed. I am disappointed that Elijah Arroyo is not participating in
Yeah.
injury
Yeah.
because he's had an injury history in college, and so that's like I don't love that, but and because I really like him. But I know Abdul Carter's not testing; he's still injured from the playoffs and that sort of thing.
I'm interested to see Donovan Jackson. I know he's
Mm.
a good athlete, but what are his measurements going to be? Because I've seen anywhere from like 34.5-inch arms, which is past the tackle threshold. I also saw multiple places claim a verified 36
Yeah,
plus inch arms. I was like, there's no way, right?
yeah,
It happens. It like there are players who have arms that long. If that ends up being true,
we got to
I
have
don't
a
even know.
conversation.
Like, yeah, that would be crazy.
We got to start having this conversation of like, are we not taking this serious?
He's gonna
And
measure in with like 31-inch arms, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's not even gonna come. It's not even gonna come close to either one. We're just gonna be
You
like,
actually have arms.
what are we doing here, people? What are we doing? All right, so I'm gonna run tonight's simulation. Me and Sam are going to team up to try to give you the ultimate mock here in the back end. If you got more combine questions, more any draft questions, anything like that, please, by all means, we love to hear from you guys. We'll answer as many as we can actually get to. I'm going to use the NFL mock draft simulator for this. Present it. Let's get it up on the screen here. Then we'll talk about some, of course. Yeah, here. Of course, ads as soon as I double dog dare the league to let Arroyo slip to 67. Yeah, do it. Do it, cowards. All right, let's get this started. All right. Oh, interesting. So Shadur Sanders is going here at goes number one instead of Cam Ward. I don't see that happen. Um, I don't see that happen very often in these simulators. I did see Quincy just before us had a simulator take Abdul Carter first. Finally, that's interesting. So we're starting to see some real changes in these simulations, which is really cool. Kind of reflecting the buzz. Um, so I'll pass it to you here for this first one, man. What do you think? Is this so for me? I still stand pat unless something crazy happens. I don't think the Rams are going to trade Matt Stafford, but for some reason they're allowing him to see. I saw somebody comment about the Shadur Sand or about the Matt Stafford thing and say, "Oh, what trade him? So what? We can get one Super Bowl and then suck for 6 years? Yeah, I'll do that." They said it like it was a bad thing.
What?
And I'm like,
What?
you're telling me I
What?
can get I don't care if I don't win for a single game for 5 years if I get a Super Bowl. Like that's
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 I don't get it.
I don't know why people would be mad at getting a Super Bowl. Like that just seemed to be what was going on there. Um, Casey says McCord's going to leave India draft. I have heard he interviews really well. Like I've heard that he's like a really charismatic. Like people really like gravitate to him. So that's pretty cool. So unless something crazy like that happens, it's going to be I still stand by the like Abdul Carter. I love Abdul Carter, but if Cam Ward's there at two, I personally have a lot of difficulty saying no.
Yeah. Um, Carter is just so good, and I think he's going to be a stud for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But I, again, I'm not planting my flag yet because I'm not ready to make that decision. But if there's one quarterback in this class that I would even be, I think, somewhat comfortable saying like, all right, this is a risk, but I can see this paying off. Like there's a way this works. It's Cam Ward because he has the physical tools to do that. And I think he has the mentality to do that. There's a lot of concerns with his profile, but I can live with that if that is the result. And I think to have the situation where you're left to choose between Carter and Ward, I think that's a fascinating scenario that I think doesn't get explored a lot because it just seems so unlikely.
Yeah. It definitely seems like one of those guys goes before there. And you say I don't see Ward and Kevin. I said this to Quincy a few weeks back. I kind of see Cam Ward operating like Joe Flacco did. I look at Joe Flacco, a more athletic Joe Flacco, in that kind of offense. Like I think he can. I think that's what they can do with Cam Ward.
I don't think that who Cam Ward was in college is going to be exactly what Cam Ward is in the pros. I think he's going to work with his offensive staff and the system around him to where they're going to try to obviously maximize his positives and minimize his negatives. And I think he is capable of living in structure and just executing and when he needs to, making that play because he has that ability. He has that talent. I don't think that he is I have to live outside the pocket. I have to just scramble every play. Because, like, one of the things that I am, how do I phrase this? Like, he has arm talent. He's physically talented, right? We know that.
Mm-hmm.
He has a really good feel for pressure in the pocket.
Yeah,
like he can sit in there and make the throw, and he can also maneuver himself around. And then he has the athleticism to, if he needs to, he can scramble, and he's also good at throwing, scrambling. He's not a running quarterback. He's a scrambling quarterback, and that's a pretty big distinction there. And that's why I feel, I don't want to say comfortable, but I can live with taking the risk on him because he has the physical traits, and he also has that pocket presence, which I think is extremely nigh on impossible to teach somebody if you don't have it. And he has it. I think that's like a non-negotiable for me. So
okay.
I'm okay with that personally.
Okay, let's do it. Just because we don't see this happen very often, let's take Cam Ward in this situation. We'll simulate through and see how many times you had to hit the skip ad button for it to go away, right? Oh, okay. Oh, listen here.
I feel like this is happening so frequently now, and I'm like, do not get people's hopes up.
I mean, just look at the top. Like, just look at all
Look
of
at how
these
much
guys.
talent is there. This is like picking at like 20.
Like, here's the thing, though, dude. Like the offensive line is not good. It's not going to be the same offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no way it's going to be the same offensive line because Jed
I
Wills
think
is.
there's going to be a lot of changes, both rookie and veteran, I think.
You've got veterans that are going to come in. You're going to draft more rookies after this. It's not going to, that's the thing. I get it. Fix the offensive line. Yeah, I'm going to do that. We're going to do that too. We got to do that too. That also has to be done. That's my counter to this. My thing, though, is like Kenneth Grant.
He's a good football player.
Dude, like there's no way like he gets past like Buffalo. Like it feels like there's no way Buffalo is like
I can't see that happening.
Who does Buffalo take in this simulation? Revel. They took like Savon Revel, like the corner from East Carolina. He's fine. I can see that taking him there.
Yeah, that also makes sense.
Yeah, I got him much lower on my board. Matthew Golden's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are you opposed to taking a crack here on Donovan Jackson?
I'm not. I mean, personally, at this point, the way things are going, I don't even think you're going to be able to get him at 33, let alone any of the top tackles. I just think that's the way this class is going to end up shaking out.
Well, let's do it. I mean, because worst case, he's a great I personally project him as a guard, and I think that's okay. But I think he can be Joel Bitonio's replacement and also do what Joel did and bump out there. If he needs to bump out there, and just matching like fit with what's on the board, because I don't think these guys are on the board. I just don't. All right. Let's take Donovan Jackson, and let's roll along and see what we got next. Oh. Doesn't matter how fast you. The fact that Wyatt Milam's now starting to fall towards third round is just sickening.
I know.
It's like sickening. It's sickening. It's sickening that I feel like Io Manor's here right now.
There's some good names here.
Is there a position you want to look at that's not showing?
I don't think so. I think running back makes sense here. I mean, Caleb Johnson, I feel like that'd be home run at 67. That's standing out to me right now. Like you got your quarterback, you just got lineman, and now you're adding your next running back. So,
and as the good is Wyatt Milam worth moving back up to get? Like, would I move into the tail end of the second round to get Wyatt Milam? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think he's worth that. Yeah.
Even if he's picking him, he's just good.
Yeah, he's a draft him and figure out where he plays later. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Yeah, I mean, nothing is guaranteed, but worst case scenario, like he's going to be a good guard. He's just he's too technically refined and too good of an athlete to not.
And as Bill Sparks likes to say, Caleb Johnson is the best zone runner in this board.
Works for me.
Where does Scadaboo? Okay, I'll see where Scadaboo falls. Let's see if he's still on the board.
He is.
Yes, he is still on the board right now. Okay, see, now it gets interesting here. Because I kind of lean towards going defense after you go so much offense early. But Emory Jones is fun, but I don't know if he's a tackle or a guard. Let's see. What do we got? Let's see. Wide receiver. Yeah, you're starting to get into this.
Darian Porter at this point. I don't know
what
that is.
Because you can start to be like, I don't give a crap about his age.
Yeah.
Do you know what I didn't realize about Darian Porter?
What's that?
I was listening to the NFL Stock Exchange. I'm going to look this up. I'm just going to be real quick about this and look it up, because I'm not going to sometimes you listen. I'll be at the gym listening to podcasts, and I'm like, what player are they talking about?
Yeah. Is that Peyton Manning that they mentioned?
Yeah, who are they? So the first handful of years for Darian Porter in college, he played wide receiver
Mhm.
at Iowa State.
Yeah.
Like some people are like, oh, he didn't really play much. He was a special teams monster, like just a special teams monster. And so he's a little bit of an older prospect. I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, I don't care about age when I'm starting to get towards the outside of the top 100. Darian Porter, he had like what was his? He had a completion percentage of 29% against him last year.
That's ridiculous.
29. I would also be tempted by Kyle Kennard. I see those comments in here.
Hmm.
Um, oh man, Darian Porter is like, he can't defend the run like at all. Oh, oof. He is 24.
Yeah, he's old.
Do we just
I don't
set the
know.
world on fire and do it
I
anyway?
don't know at what point the talent outweighs the age. I don't know if it's top 100 or not, or if they only start that day 4 or day 3, round 4.
Here's my thing though, like he was really if you're on board, I would take him. I think the talent is out. I know it's 24 and maybe he's only a one contract player, but on a defense that already is pretty good, throwing somebody in there that's just been an absolute monster in coverage. I'm like,
I think it factoring in the success rate of a late third round pick,
yeah,
you're not going to find a player that talented available at that point.
let's do it. Let's make a strength a bigger strength. Um, and look at that, Kyle Kennard's still on the board. Uh,
I like
as an
picking
interesting.
so close here. I think it's a great spot to be in.
I'm gonna pull up. I'm gonna pull up Kennard here for a second. And he's old too. He's 23.
This is just the this is how things are now.
I know.
Kuba is a
What's
good player.
I do like Makuba quite a bit. 'Cause he's got. Let me see. It's one of those things where I'm always like, yeah, he's played. Yeah, see, Makuba played mostly in the slot last year. Played a little bit in the box this year, but mostly as a deep safety.
Hmm.
Forced
You
incompletion
can
rate was
do
26%.
do a variety of things.
5 interceptions. I like it. I like it if you like it.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Boom. Let's make a big old secondary back there, a better secondary. I know. Don't tell on us. Don't tell on us, Fumble. Don't go tell Jack what
It
we
was
did
only
here
one
tonight.
time. It was one time. We
Only
won't do
one
it
time.
again.
I mean, I'm not gonna make any promises. I might do it again. Who knows?
I can't speak for Jacob.
Yeah. You're not gonna do it again. That doesn't mean I won't do it again. Because I want to do it again. Because like, if you're 165 and David Walker from Central Arkansas is still sitting there,
Do it again.
let me see. I want to see. I want to see. Let me see how. I know he's a senior. I think he's a
It's
redshirt
like, oh,
freshman.
he's 28.
I don't.
Take him in the first round.
Yeah. Oh, he's a senior. He's not a redshirt senior, so I don't have an age on him, but I just have that he's a senior. Um, yeah, and it's a good point here. Kids are staying longer because of NIL, and they're getting older, and
Hmm.
the guardrails can kind of go out the window.
We're
Um,
still we're still in the effects of that extra COVID year, right? So that also
mhm.
plays into it.
So I think he had 21, like 37 sacks in the last 3 years for Central Arkansas. And I know.
It's crazy.
Is there something else you would want to look at here?
I mean, there are other good players, but none that I think would dissuade me from taking Walker if he's available.
Okay.
He's a 5th-round pick.
Yeah, with 37 sacks in 3 seasons. Like
you get like 15 more picks after this. You're fine. You can afford to spend one on an older guy.
Do we want to look at let's see what the actual offensive tackle starts to look like. I think Brandon Crenshaw Dixon is a lot better than what he's getting.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of these low-ranked tackles who I think may end up like 4th-round picks.
I think Aeneas Peoples is old too. I'm gonna check. I just want to check because I just want to give Jack a heart attack. Yeah, he's 23.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot easier just to have the people who are, all right, these are the guys who are too old.
Yeah,
that's what we have Jack for.
There are more D linemen in this class than just about any other in a long. Yeah, there is, man. Yeah, there is a ton of them.
That is a position we haven't hit yet. Well, interior at least.
Yeah, is there an interior here that suits your fancy? Or do we want to look elsewhere? We can see. We'll see what we got at wide receiver. Pat Bryant's hanging out.
There's options. Ja'Cory Brooks for a contested catch guy.
Yep.
The thing is, at this point in the draft, you're looking for either like crazy athletes who just haven't figured it out yet, or guys who have like a singular trait that you're like, okay, he's good at that thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think I could be talked into a couple different guys here.
Oh, let's look at. I like Drake Brenning School here a lot.
I do too. I don't know if I see it happening, but I would be all for that.
That's a guy that hasn't put it together. It fits the exact criteria you were just talking about. Yeah, we'll do that. Let's do that. Unrealistic or not, I don't care. My thing's like, my computer's like, you do too many of these. What are we doing? Yeah, I'll do 15 of them a night. I think. I mean, if Holland Pierce just decides to keep going down there,
he's just like daring you to take him.
He's
you're gonna take him out.
It's like, are you gonna take him now, or are we gonna make you take him later?
Yeah.
344 pounds, 3'6".
Oh, he's 25. Okay.
Is he?
I don't think so.
Oh, yes. I thought you actually knew. I thought he was. Yeah. Jeff says just take him. All right, we'll take him. He says you got too many picks left.
Yeah, he's got a point.
Oh, we got 4 picks left. Okay.
What are the running backs are on the board here?
Yeah, ooh.
Some good ones.
Damian Martinez, Raheem Sanders you could talk me into. I think Raheem Sanders,
Please be 22. Please be 22.
He's 22.7. Yeah.
All right.
You want to do that?
Are we? I'm not rounding up.
Yeah, that's fine.
We go to one decimal place here.
All right, boom, fine, yeah, boom, bam, double dip. We did it. We double dipped. Oh, now we got it back to back.
Carson Vincent, what?
Yeah, no, like there's
no way.
No, not
like
at 216.
Third round pick.
Yeah, he's got the most violent hands I've seen in this class. It's like disgusting. Did we? Oh, we need a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go.
Makes sense.
I don't care how old he is. I don't care how old he is. Oh crap! We're on the clock again.
No.
Oh,
they're not even going to be able to get up for a cup of coffee in the draft room on that Saturday.
Yeah, they're going to forget too. They're going to be like, "Wait, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You just made a pick."
Like, actually, you guys are 4 picks behind. You got to hurry up and send it to someone.
You're gonna be like, "What? Did we not?"
You're pulling a Vikings or whatever the team was.
Did we take a D tackle? Oh my god, we didn't.
Did not.
Well, that's the question. Do you go with Howard Cross? See, the thing is, I really like Ty Hamilton only if you're trying to, if you're making like the, hey, we're just looking for a run defender. Because like, I don't think he really gives you much as a pass rusher.
But again, singular skill set at this point. If you're good at it, I can probably find a role for you.
What quarterbacks are left? None of the good ones. You're right though. But that's he is an immovable force. Yeah, I'll do Ty Hamilton just because, like, hey, we'll get you a run defender. You know he can do that really well. That's about it. Let me be clear. That's it. All right, Mr. Irrelevant.
Who do we award this illustrious honor?
Max Brosner?
Sure. Take a quarterback for the heck of it. See, we did take a quarterback. It was the last.
We did it.
We took 2 quarterbacks. There's your backup.
Here is our pre-NFL Combine mock draft that we threw together. Cam Ward at 2, Donovan Jackson at 33, Caleb Johnson, the running back from Iowa at 67, Darian Porter, the not super old corner from Iowa State, Andrew Makuba, who the safety from Texas, who's also played some in the slot, the super productive, D2 at Central Arkansas pass rusher David Walker, Jake Brenningstool, the tight end from Clemson, very toolsy player, just hasn't been able to put it all together yet. Holland Pierce, the big hulking tackle from Rutgers, Raheem Sanders, the running back from South Carolina, Ja'Cory Brooks, the contested catch nightmare wide receiver from Louisville, Ty Hamilton, he can stop the run, and Max Brosmer can throw the football. He can throw it.
And just for clarification purposes, Ja'Cory Brooks is a contested catch nightmare for the defense, not for the offense.
Yeah. Right.
That would be unfortunate.
Yeah, he can't. He's
if you throw him and he gets touched, he is not coming down with the ball.
Never. It's done. Thank you guys so much for joining us. All kinds of crazy stuff going to be happening at the Combine. We will be back next week with another episode on Monday. We'll do a recap of some of the things that we saw from the Senior Bowl before we jump in, or the Senior Bowl, from the NFL Combine before we jump in to a mock draft, very similar to the style of show we did tonight. Thank you so much for checking us out. Make sure you go over to theobr.com, check out everything. I got my top 50. Big board is there. as well. And I've got Sam's got a mock coming in the morning. I've got a profile on Omarion Hampton coming in the morning. Newsflash, I love Omarion Hampton, the running back from North Carolina. That dude, like, you'll have to read it. You'll have to read it. So thank you guys so much. We will talk to you guys again next time. As always, go Browns.